Taeho stared at the screen showing the 3 alien ships waiting in space above Earth. Everything had happened so fast that he was still trying to understand it all. But one thing was bothering him. "Computer," he said, "I have a question about my grandfather." "Yes?" the computer replied. "If Earth was taking some kind of test to join the galactic community and my grandfather was Earth's representative, then he must have known this day would come. He must have known that someone would eventually find this place and activate the systems." "That is correct," the computer said. "Then why didn't he teach me about any of this? Why didn't he prepare me?" The computer was quiet for a moment. Then a new holographic display activated, showing an image of Taeho's grandfather as a much younger man. "Your grandfather left a message for you," the computer said. "He recorded it shortly before he died. He said it should only be played when you were ready to hear the truth." "I think I'm ready now," Taeho said. The hologram of his grandfather looked directly at him and began to speak. "Hello, Taeho," the recorded message said. "If you are watching this, it means you have found my life's work and activated the emergency systems. I am sorry that you had to discover all of this in such a frightening way, but there was no other choice." The hologram walked around the room, gesturing at the alien technology. "I could not tell you about this place while I was alive because the test had to be genuine. You had to respond to this crisis using your own intelligence and courage, not following instructions that I had given you. The Galactic Confederation needed to see how humanity would react when faced with the unknown." Professor Lee looked fascinated. "So this whole situation was planned?" The hologram of Taeho's grandfather nodded. "Not exactly planned, but prepared for. I knew that eventually something would happen that would force Earth to reveal itself to the galaxy. I spent 40 years making sure that when that day came, Earth would be ready." "The 3 alien ships," Agent Yoon said. "Are they really enemies?" "That," the hologram said with a smile, "is something you will have to discover for yourself. But I will say this, nothing in this test is what it appears to be on the surface." The message ended, leaving Taeho with more questions than answers. "Computer," Yejin said, "can you analyze the 3 ships more carefully? Look for anything unusual about their behavior or technology." The computer ran new scans of the alien vessels. After a few minutes, it made a surprising announcement. "The 3 ships are using communication encryption that is only available to official Confederation vessels," it reported. "Also, their weapons have been firing at minimum power. No ship has taken any real damage from this battle. They're not really trying to hurt each other," Taeho realized. "Furthermore," the computer continued, "I am detecting Confederation identification beacons hidden deep in all 3 ship systems." Agent Yoon understood first. "This whole thing is a simulation. The war, the different factions, all of it. They're all working together to test how Earth responds to a crisis." On the communication channels, they could hear the alien commanders talking to each other more openly now. "I think they've figured it out," Commander Vextar was saying. "Took them long enough," Merchant Admiral Quill replied with what sounded like laughter. "Should we drop the act?" Captain Northek asked. Commander Vextar's voice came through the communication system, but this time he sounded completely different. Instead of harsh and military, his tone was friendly and respectful. "People of Earth," he said, "I think it is time to end this test and have an honest conversation. Permission to come aboard your facility?" "Aboard?" Taeho asked. "You mean come down here?" "If you don't mind," Commander Vexitar replied. "We have a lot to discuss, and it would be better to do it in person." Agent Yoon looked around at the others. "What do you think?" "Do we trust them?" "We've come this far," Professor Lee said. "And if they wanted to hurt us, they could have done it already. Let them come," Taeho decided. 10 minutes later, the elevator brought 3 visitors down to the facility. But they looked nothing like the scary aliens Taeho had been imagining. Commander Vextar was tall and thin, with blue-gray skin and large, friendly eyes. He wore a simple uniform that looked more like a scientist's clothes than military gear. Merchant Admiral Quill was short and round, with green skin and a face that seemed designed for smiling. She carried a tablet that looked similar to human technology. Captain Norithek looked almost human, except for her silver hair and eyes that changed color when she moved her head. "Greetings," Commander Vextar said in perfect Korean. "First, let me apologize for the deception, but the test had to feel real for your responses to be genuine." "What exactly were you testing?" Agent Yoon asked. How humanity would react when faced with an impossible situation, Captain Norithek explained. Would you panic? Would you try to hide? Would you attack first and ask questions later? Instead, Merchant Admiral Quill said, you did something remarkable. You worked together. You tried to communicate and solve the problem peacefully, and you were willing to take risks to protect others. Even more impressive, Commander Vextar added. You figured out that the situation was not what it seemed. That shows the kind of critical thinking that the Confederation values in its member worlds. Professor Lee had been examining the aliens' equipment. Your technology is fascinating, he said, but I can see that it's designed to work together with the systems in this facility. You've been planning this test for a long time. 40 years, Captain Norithek confirmed. Your grandfather helped us design every part of it. He wanted to make sure that when Earth was ready to join the galactic community, the transition would be as smooth as possible. And we passed? Heejin asked. The three aliens looked at each other and smiled. With flying colors, Commander Vextar said, Earth has demonstrated technological capability, social cooperation, peaceful problem-solving, and moral courage. The Galactic Confederation is proud to welcome humanity as its newest member world. What happens now? Tejo asked. Now, Merchant Admiral Quill said, the real work begins. There's a lot to learn about galactic society, trade, diplomacy, and technology sharing. Earth will need representatives who can work with other worlds. She looked directly at Tejo. We were hoping you might be interested in the job. Your grandfather spoke of you often. He said you had the curiosity and determination that would make a good galactic diplomat. Tejo looked around at his friends. Heejin was grinning with excitement. Professor Lee was already asking questions about alien engineering. Agent Yoon was taking notes for her report to the government. I think, Tejo said, that I'm going to need a lot of help. That's the point, Captain Norithek said. The best galactic citizens are the ones who know how to work with others. Commander Vextar activated a communication device. Confederation Command, this is Examination Team 7. Earth has successfully completed the membership qualification process. Please begin integration protocols. As alarms and celebrations started sounding from the device, Tejo realized that his life had just changed forever. But looking around at the amazing technology, the friendly aliens, and his friends who had helped him through the crisis, he thought it might be a change for the better. His grandfather had spent 40 years preparing for this day. Now it was Tejo's turn to help guide humanity into its future among the stars. The first step, he decided, would be learning how to properly use an alien elevator. He was never going to accidentally start a war again. But maybe, just maybe, he might accidentally start something even better. Tejo and Heejin spent the whole night in the underground facility, trying to learn how to use the alien communication systems. The computer helped them understand the basic controls. But there was so much technology that it would take years to learn everything. 3 ships have entered your solar system, the computer announced as the sun was rising above ground. They are much larger than I expected. Can you show us? Hyojin asked. The main screen changed to show a view of space near Earth. 3 enormous ships were visible, each one bigger than a city. They had very different designs, like they came from completely different worlds. The first ship belongs to something called the Hegemony, the computer explained. They are a military empire that conquers planets and makes them part of their territory. The second ship is from the Trade Federation. They are like a big company that buys and sells planets and resources. The third ship is from the Liberation Front. They say they help planets that are being attacked by bad aliens. So we have soldiers, business people, and freedom fighters coming to Earth, Tejo said. That sounds like it could be good, right? Not exactly, the computer replied. Each group thinks they know what is happening on Earth, but they are all wrong. And they do not like each other very much. On the screen, they could see the 3 ships moving closer to Earth. They were also moving closer to each other, and none of them seemed happy about that. Incoming communication, the computer announced. The Hegemony ship is sending a message to Earth. A voice filled the room, speaking in the alien language with harsh, military-sounding words. The computer translated it into Korean. People of Earth, the voice said. I am Commander Vextar of the Hegemony Fleet. We received your distress call. Your Confederation protectors have clearly been defeated or abandoned you. We claim this planet under Hegemony law. Prepare for occupation. That's not good, Heejin said. Before they could respond, another voice came through the communication system. This one sounded more like a business person. "Attention, Earth," the second voice said. "This is Merchant Admiral Quill of the Trade Federation. We are here to discuss the purchase of your planet's resources. The hegemony has no legal claim here. We have filed the proper paperwork with the Galactic Commerce Authority." A third voice interrupted both of them. "Citizens of Earth," the third voice said with passion, "do not listen to these oppressors. I am Captain Norathek of the Liberation Front. We are here to free you from Confederation tyranny and hegemony conquest. The Trade Federation only wants to steal your resources." Teho looked at Heejin with worry. "They're all talking about Earth like we can't speak for ourselves." "Worse than that," Heejin said. "They're starting to argue with each other instead of listening to what Earth actually needs." On the screen, they could see the three ships positioning themselves in a triangle around Earth. Small fighter ships were leaving each big ship and flying toward the others in threatening patterns. "This is getting dangerous," the computer said. "They are preparing for battle." Teho's phone started ringing. It was his engineering professor, Lee Jinwoo. "Teho," Professor Lee said when he answered, "are you watching the news? There are reports of strange objects in the sky, and the government is saying there might be some kind of attack. Your parents called me because they couldn't reach you." "Professor," Teho said, "I need your help with something very important." "Can you come to my grandfather's house? And don't tell anyone where you're going." "What's going on?" Professor Lee asked. "I accidentally started a war," Teho said, "and I need someone who understands engineering to help me fix it." Professor Lee was quiet for a moment. He had known Teho for 2 years, and the boy had never lied to him about anything important. "I'll be there in an hour," he said. While they waited for the professor, another person arrived at the house. A woman in a black suit knocked on the front door. When Teho went upstairs to answer it, she showed him an official government identification card. "I am Agent Yoon Sora from the National Intelligence Service," she said. "We have been monitoring unusual energy readings from this location for the past day. I need to know what is happening here." Teho looked at her tired face and decided that lying would only make things worse. "You should probably sit down," he said. "This is going to be hard to believe." He brought Agent Yoon down to the facility. Like everyone else, she was amazed by what she saw. But unlike the others, she immediately started asking practical questions about security and defense. "How many people know about this place?" she asked. "Just us," Teho replied. "And now you." "Good," she said. "We need to keep it that way until we understand what we're dealing with." When Professor Lee arrived, they had to bring him down too. The underground room was getting crowded, but they needed all the help they could get. Professor Lee examined the alien technology with great interest. "This is remarkable," he said. "The engineering principles are completely different from anything we use on Earth, but I think I can understand some of it." "We need to talk to those ships," Hyejin said. "We need to tell them that the distress call was a mistake." "I have been trying," the computer said, "but they are too busy arguing with each other to listen to messages from Earth. Also, they do not believe that humans could have sent the original message. They think it came from Confederation technology." Agent Yoon was looking at the screens that showed the 3 alien ships. "How powerful are their weapons?" she asked. "Very powerful," the computer replied. "Any one of those ships could destroy all life on Earth in a few minutes. And they're getting ready to fight each other right above our planet," she said grimly. On the screen, they could see that the situation was getting worse. The hegemony ship had fired a warning shot at one of the Liberation Front fighters. The Liberation Front had responded by attacking a Trade Federation ship. Now all 3 groups were shooting at each other in the space around Earth. "This is exactly what we were trying to prevent," the computer said sadly. "A war in Earth's solar system will attract attention from all over the galaxy. Even if these 3 ships leave, others will come to investigate." Professor Lee was studying one of the control panels. "What is this section?" he asked, pointing to a part of the facility they had not explored yet. "Those are the defensive systems," the computer replied. "Your grandfather's station was equipped with weapons in case of emergency." "Weapons?" Teho asked. "What kind of weapons?" "The kind that could fight against ships like the ones above us," the computer said. "But activating them would reveal that Earth has advanced military technology. That would change everything about Earth's status in the galaxy." Agent Yoon looked thoughtful. "Maybe that's what we need to do," she said. "Maybe it's time for Earth to stop hiding. That is a decision that should not be made by just a few people, the computer warned. Once Earth reveals itself as a technological civilization, there will be no going back. Above them, the space battle was getting more intense. Explosions lit up the darkness between the alien ships. Some of the fighting was getting close to Earth's moon. We have to do something, Eugene said. We can't just watch them destroy each other over our planet. Tejo looked around at the people who had come to help him. His best friend, his professor, and a government agent. None of them had asked to be part of this situation, but they were all here because he had made a mistake. What would my grandfather do? He asked the computer. Your grandfather always said that sometimes the only way to stop a fight is to make everyone involved realize. They are fighting for the wrong reasons, the computer replied. Then that's what we'll do, Tejo said. We'll make them listen to the truth. Tejo jumped out of the chair and looked around the room with wide eyes. The voice had sounded friendly, but hearing a stranger's voice in this strange place made his heart beat very fast. Who are you? He asked the empty room. Where are you? I am the facility assistant, the voice replied. I am not a person like you. I am what your people call a computer program. Your grandfather programmed me to speak Korean so I could talk to his family if they ever found this place. Tejo felt a little bit better knowing he was talking to a computer, but only a little bit. This was still the strangest day of his life. What is this place? He asked. This is a monitoring station, the computer said. Your grandfather worked here for 40 years watching and learning about your planet. He was Earth's secret contact with the Galactic Confederation. Tejo did not understand most of those words, but he understood enough to know that his grandfather had been doing something very important and very secret. He walked around the room again, looking more carefully at all the machines and screens. On one of the screens, he could see what looked like a map of the solar system, with small dots moving around the planets. The dots had names written next to them, but the names were in the strange symbol language. Can you show me how this works? Tejo asked. I can teach you some basic functions, the computer replied. But I must warn you to be very careful. Some of these systems are connected to important communication networks. If you activate the wrong thing, it could cause problems. But Tejo was 19 years old, and 19-year-old boys do not always listen to warnings about being careful. He was excited and curious, and he wanted to understand what his grandfather had been doing down here. He walked over to what looked like the main control panel. It had a large screen surrounded by the symbol buttons. When he got close, the screen lit up and showed what looked like a menu, but with pictures instead of words. One of the pictures looked like a radio tower sending out signals. Tejo thought this might be how his grandfather had talked to the aliens. He pressed the picture. The screen changed and showed a new set of controls. There was a big red button in the center that was flashing slowly. Tejo thought red buttons usually meant something important. Wait, the computer voice said, sounding worried. That is the emergency communication system. You should not. But Tejo had already pressed the red button. Immediately, alarms started ringing throughout the facility. Red lights flashed on all the walls, and the computer voice started speaking very quickly in several different languages, including some that did not sound human at all. What did I do? Tejo shouted over the noise. You have activated the planetary distress beacon, the computer replied, sounding upset. This sends an automatic message to all Confederation ships in this part of the galaxy, saying that Earth is under attack and needs immediate military help. Tejo felt sick to his stomach. Can we turn it off? The message has already been sent, the computer said. It will reach the nearest Confederation ships in about 6 hours. But it will also reach ships from other groups who monitor these frequencies. Some of these groups are not friendly to Earth. Tejo sat down heavily in the nearest chair. He had been in this place for less than an hour, and he had already broken something that might put the whole planet in danger. I need help, he said. I need to call someone who knows about computers and technology. He pulled out his phone and was surprised to see that he had full signal strength, even though he was deep underground. He called his friend Hyejin, who was studying computer science at the same university. Hyejin, he said when she answered. I need you to come to my grandfather's house right away. It's an emergency. What kind of emergency? She asked. Did you hurt yourself cleaning the garage? It's much more complicated than that, Tejo said. I found something in the garage that you need to see. Something involving computers and other things. Can you come now? Hyejin had been his friend since they were children, and she could tell from his voice that he was really scared about something. Okay, she said. I'll be there in 20 minutes. While he waited, Tejo asked the computer to explain more about what was happening. Earth has been under protection by the Galactic Confederation for the past 60 years. The computer explained. This means that other alien groups are not allowed to contact your planet or take your resources. But this protection only works as long as Earth appears to be a primitive world that cannot defend itself. And now? Tejo asked. Now you have sent a message that suggests Earth has advanced communication technology and is in contact with the Confederation. This changes everything. Groups that have been waiting for a chance to claim Earth's resources will see this as proof that the protection period is over. Tejo felt even worse. Not only had he accidentally called for help that Earth did not need, but he had also told dangerous aliens that Earth was worth attacking. When Hyejin arrived, Tejo took her down in the elevator. She was amazed and frightened by everything she saw, just like he had been, but she was also excited by the technology. This is incredible, she said, looking at the computer systems. This technology is decades ahead of anything we have on Earth, maybe centuries ahead. She sat down at one of the control panels and started trying to understand how it worked. The computer helped her by translating some of the symbols into Korean. The good news, she said after working for an hour, is that I think I can figure out how to use the communication system properly. The bad news is that it's too late to stop the message you already sent. How bad is this really? Tejo asked. The computer answered him. Long-range sensors are already detecting ships moving toward Earth from 3 different directions. They will arrive in approximately 18 hours. What kinds of ships? Hyejin asked. Military ships, the computer replied. Very large ones. Tejo looked at his friend and she looked back at him. They both understood that they had accidentally started something that was much bigger than they could handle. Where are the good aliens? Tejo asked. The Confederation ones who are supposed to protect Earth? The nearest Confederation patrol is 3 months away, the computer said. They left this area last week on a routine mission to the outer planets. Hyejin was quiet for a moment, thinking hard. Then she looked up with a determined expression. Then we'll have to fix this ourselves, she said. We created this problem, so we have to solve it. Can this computer help us communicate with the ships that are coming? Yes, the computer replied. But you should know that once they arrive, they may not be willing to simply leave when they discover the message was sent by mistake. Why not? Tejo asked. Because, the computer said, some of them have been waiting for an excuse to visit Earth for a very long time. Tejo wiped the sweat from his forehead as he looked around his grandfather's garage. The old man had died 3 weeks ago, and now it was time to clean out all his stuff. The garage was full of old car parts, broken machines, and boxes of things that nobody wanted anymore. Kim Won-sik had been a strange old man. He always told stories about working for the government during the war, but nobody really believed him. He spent most of his time in this garage, building things that never seemed to work properly. Tejo's parents wanted to sell the house quickly, so they gave him the job of throwing everything away. Tejo picked up another box of rusty metal pieces and carried it to the trash pile outside. When he came back, he noticed something odd. There was a gap behind the tall shelf of car parts. He had been moving things all morning, but he had never seen that space before. He pushed the heavy shelf to the side. Behind it was a metal door that looked much newer than everything else in the garage. The door had no handle, just a smooth surface with some kind of panel next to it. Tejo had never seen this door before, even though he had been coming to his grandfather's house since he was a little boy. The panel looked like an old electrical box, but it had strange symbols on it instead of normal writing. Tejo touched the panel, and it lit up with a soft blue light. He jumped back, surprised. His grandfather had been dead for weeks, so why was this thing still getting power? He looked closer at the symbols. They did not look like any language he knew. Some of them seemed to move slightly when he looked at them. Tejo thought maybe his eyes were just tired from working all day. He pressed one of the symbols that looked like a button. Nothing happened for a few seconds. Then he heard a deep humming sound coming from behind the door. The sound got louder and louder until the whole garage started to shake a little bit. The metal door slid open with a smooth sound, like the doors at the shopping mall. But instead of a room, there was an elevator. Tejo stared at it with his mouth open. How could there be an elevator here? The garage was built on the ground level, and there was no basement under the house. The elevator looked very modern and clean, nothing like the old and dirty garage around it. The walls inside were made of some kind of silver metal that seemed to glow slightly. There were no buttons that he could see, just more panels with the same strange symbols. Taeho stood at the edge of the elevator door looking down. He could see that the elevator shaft went down much deeper than it should. The house foundation was only a few feet deep, but this shaft looked like it went down forever. A cool breeze came up from below, carrying a smell that reminded him of hospitals, very clean and a little bit chemical. He knew he should probably call someone, maybe the police or his parents. But he was curious. His grandfather had always been secretive about his work, and now Taeho was finding out why. Maybe the old man really had been working on secret government projects. Taeho stepped into the elevator carefully. As soon as both of his feet were inside, the door closed behind him. He felt a moment of panic and pressed his hands against the door, but it would not open. Then the elevator started moving down. It moved much faster than normal elevators. Taeho felt his ears pop like when he was on an airplane. He watched the walls of the shaft go by through a small window in the elevator door. First he saw normal concrete and dirt, like the foundation of a house. But as they went deeper, the walls changed to the same silver metal as the elevator. The metal walls had thin lines of blue light running through them, like veins in a person's body. The lights pulsed slowly, getting brighter and dimmer in a steady pattern. Taeho counted in his head to see how long they had been going down. After 2 minutes, he knew they had gone much deeper than any basement should be. Finally, the elevator stopped. Taeho's ears popped again as the door opened. He stepped out into a huge room that took his breath away. The ceiling was so high that he could barely see it in the dim light. The walls were covered with screens and panels that glowed with soft colors. Strange machines hummed quietly all around the room. Some of them had shapes that did not make sense to Taeho. They looked like they were made by someone who had very different ideas about how machines should work. In the center of the room was a large table with a surface that looked like black glass. When Taeho walked closer, symbols and pictures appeared on the surface, moving around like they were alive. He recognized some of the symbols from the elevator panel, but most of them were completely new. Along one wall, there were what looked like windows, but they showed pictures instead of the outside world. The pictures showed space, black sky filled with stars and planets. But these were not photographs. The images moved like they were happening right now, and Taeho could see spaceships flying between the planets. He walked around the room slowly, afraid to touch anything. Everything looked expensive and important. This was not the kind of place his grandfather should have been able to build. The old man fixed cars and built birdhouses. He did not build secret underground rooms full of alien-looking technology. On one of the walls, Taeho found a picture of his grandfather standing next to a tall, thin figure wearing a silver suit. The figure's face was hidden behind a helmet, but its hands had too many fingers. His grandfather was smiling and shaking hands with the figure like they were old friends. Taeho felt dizzy. This was too much to understand. His grandfather had not just been telling stories about secret government work. He had been doing something much stranger and more important than anyone in the family had known. He sat down in a chair that molded itself to fit his body perfectly. The chair was more comfortable than anything he had ever felt before. As he sat there trying to make sense of what he was seeing, a gentle voice spoke from somewhere in the room. "Welcome, Kim Taeho," the voice said in perfect Korean. "Your grandfather has been waiting for you to find this place. Please do not be afraid. You are safe here." Taeho looked around, but he could not see who was speaking. The voice seemed to come from everywhere at once. The space battle above Earth was getting worse every minute. On the screens in the underground facility, Taeho and his team could see explosions lighting up the darkness. Pieces of damaged ships were falling toward Earth's atmosphere, burning up like shooting stars. "The fighting is spreading," Agent Yoon reported as she monitored communications from the government. "Our satellites are detecting energy weapons being fired all around the planet. World leaders are starting to panic. Professor Lee had been working on the alien communication systems with Hyojin. I think we can send a message to all 3 ships at the same time," he said. "But we need to make sure they actually listen to us." "How do we do that?" Taeho asked. "We show them something they don't expect," the computer suggested. "These aliens think Earth is a primitive planet that cannot defend itself. If we prove them wrong, they will have to pay attention." Agent Yoon was talking quietly on her phone to someone in the government. When she finished the call, she looked serious. "I have been authorized to take whatever action is necessary to protect Earth," she said. The president and the military commanders are being briefed about this situation right now. They want to know what options we have. We could activate the defensive systems, the computer said. But once we do that, Earth will no longer be considered a protected primitive world. Every alien civilization in the galaxy will know that humans have advanced technology. Maybe that's not such a bad thing, Hyojin said. We can't hide forever. Taeho thought about his grandfather, who had spent 40 years keeping Earth's secrets safe. But his grandfather was gone now, and the secret was already broken. The 3 alien fleets above them were proof of that. What exactly are these defensive systems? Professor Lee asked. The computer activated a new section of the control room. Panels slid away from the walls, revealing weapon controls that looked much more advanced than anything Earth's military had. Energy shields that can protect the entire planet, the computer explained. Weapons that can disable ships without destroying them. And a communication array powerful enough to contact every ship in the solar system at the same time. Can we use these systems to stop the fighting without hurting anyone? Taeho asked. Yes, the computer replied. But activating them will send a signal across the galaxy that Earth has technology equal to any Confederation world. There will be no more hiding after that, Agent Yoon spoke up. I just received a message from our space monitoring station. The alien ships are moving closer to Earth. If their battle continues, some of the weapons fire will hit our planet. That decided it for Taeho. We activate the defenses, he said. We can't let innocent people get hurt because of my mistake. Are you sure? The computer asked. This will change everything for your species. Everything is already changed, Taeho replied. Now we just have to deal with it. Professor Lee and Heejin worked together to activate the defensive systems. As the controls came online, the facility filled with a low humming sound that seemed to come from deep in the Earth. Planetary shields are active, the computer announced. All alien ships in the solar system are being scanned. Communication array is ready. On the screens, they could see a faint blue glow surrounding Earth like a soap bubble. The glow was barely visible, but Taeho knew it was strong enough to stop any weapon the alien ships could fire. Now we talk to them, Agent Yoon said. Heejin activated the communication system. Her voice, translated into multiple alien languages, reached all 3 ships at the same time. Attention alien vessels, she said. This is Earth speaking. We are not under attack. We do not need to be conquered, purchased, or liberated. The distress signal you received was sent by accident. Please stop fighting in our solar system. The response was immediate. All 3 ships stopped firing at each other and turned their sensors toward Earth. On the communication channels, voices started speaking in surprised tones. Impossible, Commander Vextar of the Hegemony said. Primitive worlds do not have planetary defense systems. The energy readings are off the charts, Merchant Admiral Quill reported. This planet has technology we've never seen before. How did we miss this? Captain Northek wondered. The Liberation Front intelligence said Earth was helpless. Taeho took control of the communication system. We are not helpless, he said. But we are also not looking for trouble. We just want you to stop fighting near our planet. Who are you? Commander Vextar demanded. Are you Confederation military? No, Taeho replied. I am a 19-year-old college student who found his grandfather's secret equipment and accidentally pressed the wrong button. The person helping me with communications is a computer science student. The man working on your technology is an engineering professor, and the woman coordinating with our government is an intelligence agent. There was a long silence from all 3 ships. You're telling us, Merchant Admiral Quill said slowly, that your planet's defense systems are being operated by students and a professor? And one government agent, Agent Yoon added helpfully. Another long silence. Where are your military leaders? Captain Northek asked. They're being briefed about this situation right now, Agent Yoon replied. This is all very new to us. Until yesterday, most people on Earth didn't know that aliens existed. Professor Lee had been examining more of the facility's systems. I'm finding some very interesting things here, he called out. This equipment isn't just for communication and defense. There are files here about Earth's history with the Confederation. What kind of files? Taeho asked. Professor Lee activated a holographic display that filled the center of the room. They could see images of Taeho's grandfather meeting with various alien officials over many years. Your grandfather wasn't just a contact person, Professor Lee said. He was Earth's official representative to the Galactic Confederation. And according to these files, Earth has been preparing for full membership for decades. Membership? Agent Yoon asked. The computer's voice became more formal. Earth has been undergoing a qualification process to join the Galactic Confederation as a full member world. The protection status was temporary, designed to give humanity time to develop the technology and social systems necessary for galactic citizenship. And now? Hyjin asked. Now you have demonstrated that Earth possesses advanced defensive technology and can respond to galactic threats, the computer replied. You have also shown that your people can work together in a crisis and make difficult decisions to protect others. On the communication channels, the three alien commanders were talking among themselves. Taeho could hear parts of their conversation as the computer translated it. The planet clearly has Confederation-level technology, Commander Vextar was saying. But their behavior suggests they're still in the qualification process, Merchant Admiral Quill replied. If that's true, Captain Northick said, then we may have just interfered with an official Confederation examination. What does that mean? Taeho asked the computer. It means, the computer replied, that your response to this crisis may be the final test to determine if Earth is ready to join the galactic community. Agent Yoon looked around at their small group. So we're not just trying to stop a war. We're taking Earth's final exam for galactic citizenship? It appears so, the computer said. No pressure at all, Hyejin muttered. Taeho looked at the screen showing the three alien ships. They had stopped fighting and were now waiting to see what Earth would do next. What happens if we pass the test? He asked. Earth becomes a full member of the Galactic Confederation, with all the rights and responsibilities that come with that status, the computer replied. And if we fail, Earth remains under protection indefinitely, treated as a world that is not ready for galactic contact. Taeho thought about that. Staying under protection sounded safe, but it also meant that humanity would never be allowed to explore the galaxy or make their own decisions about their future. What do we need to do to pass? He asked. Show that Earth can handle the responsibilities of galactic citizenship, the computer replied. Prove that humanity is ready to be part of something bigger than just their own world. Taeho looked at his friends and allies. They had already come so far from where they started this morning. Maybe they could go a little further,